Hi everyone. In today's video, I take up a bit of a complicated question in the topic of nautical mathematics. Let's give it a go and try to make the solution simple enough for you to understand. So in today's video, we will understand how to calculate the distance and bearing between two objects as measured from the top. So as an example, let's take the question here that from a top of a cliff 300 meters high, you see a lifeboat that is bearing north 45 degrees west at an angle of depression of 10 degrees. And at the same time, you see a yacht bearing north 60 degrees east at an angle of depression of 25 degrees. You have to calculate the distance between the lifeboat and the yacht to the nearest meter. And if the yacht is in distress, calculate the bearing that the lifeboat must take to reach it to the nearest degree. Alright, so let's draw this question so that you can understand it a bit better. So here we have the cliff which is 300 meters high. Alright, let's call this AO, and let's first take the example of the boat. So the angle of depression is 10 degrees in the case of the boat. Alright, so because it's the boat, we'll call it B here, and this is 10 degrees. Right now, just because we will be using this principle later on, let me just introduce this right now to you guys, that when you have a situation like this, remember that I can draw a line parallel to the base of this triangle. Alright, if I draw a line parallel to the base of this triangle, this angle here will be equal to angle B, 10 degrees as well. Now this is called alternate angles. This is a principle that we use for parallel lines if we draw a diagonal between the two parallel lines. Now this is a principle we'll be using later on. So I thought let me start showing it to you at the beginning itself so that you don't get confused. Anyhow, let's find the distance OB, because this is the distance of the lifeboat from the cliff. So how can we do that? We can just apply the principles of trigonometry which we have learned earlier. So we have tan of 10 degrees which is equal to the opposite upon the base. Opposite of 10 degrees is 300 and base is of course OB, the one that you have to find out. So just transpose OB to this side here and bring tan 10 degrees to the base here. So we have OB here and we have 300 times tan of 10 degrees. So you can put these values in the calculator and you will get 1701.4 meters. Now because it's 300 meters, the answer I will be getting is in meters as well. Alright, now this is the case of the boat. Now let's take the case of the yacht. So in the case of the yacht, again we have a cliff which is 300 meters high. We'll put the yacht here and we'll call this Y. Alright, and we call this O and A again, and this is 300 meters. The angle of depression this time is 25 degrees. So again, let me just show you the rule that we have with parallel lines. So if I draw a parallel line here, this angle will also be equal to angle Y, 25 degrees. This is called alternate angles. Alright, this is something that we'll be using later on as well. So here again, if I have to find the distance OY, which is the distance of the yacht from the cliff, we will go tan of 25 degrees equals opposite to tan is 300 meters divided by OY. We will interchange these two values. So OY comes on the left hand side and 300 divided by tan of 25 comes on the right hand side. You can straight away put these values in the calculator. 300 divided by tan of 25 will give you 643.35 meters. Alright, so we have found out the distances of the two objects, yacht and boat, from the cliff. Alright, now let's look at this question from the other angle as well to be able to solve the distance between the two yacht and lifeboat and also the bearing to take. Alright, so here we have the two objects. We have the boat and the yacht, and now we are looking at them from the top of the cliff view. So this is the top of the cliff view. We will call it O. Alright, we have the boat here, and if I draw an perpendicular line here, this is nothing but north 45 degrees west, and this is northeast 60 degrees. All right, and we call this y. Right, we know the two distances, so OB and OY. So OB is 1701.4 meters and OY is 643.35 meters. We know these two distances. Now because we know the angle at O, 45 and 60, if I just add them up together, 45 plus 60, what do I get? 105 degrees in total. So one was at a bearing of 45 northwest, other one was at bearing of 60 degrees northeast, and I add them up together to get the total angle O in triangle OBY, and I get 105 degrees. Right? So we get that. Now why do we want that? We are going to use the rule of cosine to firstly find the distance BY, because this is what is being asked of us first. BY. BY is the distance between the yacht and the lifeboat. So we will use the cosine rule here because we know the two sides and the angle included between it. So we call it the cosine rule. So how do we apply the cosine rule? It's pretty simple actually. So we have cos of 105 degrees, the angle given to you. And then you put the sum of the sides, square of the sum of the two sides which are next to it. So the two sides which are next to it is one OB and OY. So we will have 1701.4 square plus 643.35 square and minus the side opposite to the angle in question, which is BY square. Alright, divided by 2 times 1701.4 multiplied by 643.35. Alright, so we'll have to solve this equation to make it simple. So let's start with cos 105. So cos of 105 degrees, cos 105 degrees is equal to negative 0.25882 equals 1701.4 square, which is equal to 28,94761.96 plus 643.35 square. So make sure that you guys are working this out with me, otherwise you will not understand where I'm getting these values from. Minus by square is something I don't know, divided by 2 times 1701.4 multiplied by 643.35. So I get denominator, I get 21891.91.38. All right, now I will take this here. So 21891.91.38 multiplied by a negative 0.25882 will give me a negative number 56606.513, and then I add the two numbers 2894761.96 plus 413,899.22, which gives me 330,8661.18 minus by square. Alright, now I take by square to the other side and bring the number on the left hand side to the right hand side. So this comes here, becomes a positive number, and this goes to the other side, becomes a positive number as well. So we will have by whole square equals 330,861.18 plus 566606.513. Alright, so just add the two together, 566606.513. So we will get by square equals 3875267.693, and then press shift square root. So by equals square root of 3875267.693. so we have in our calculator, so we will get 1968.57. so by is 1968.57 meters. This is the answer of the distance between the lighthouse, the yacht and the lifeboat, 1968.57 meters. So we need answer for up to 2 decimal places. Otherwise, you could round it off to 1968.6. Alright, now this we have found the distance between the two lighthouses. Now, what else do I have to find? The next thing I have to find is the bearing of the lifeboat as it proceeds towards the yacht in case of distress. So what would that bearing be? Now look at the diagram here. Now if I draw a perpendicular line here, I need to find this angle here. Alright, I need to find this angle here. This is the bearing that the lighthouse will take. Now how can I find that angle? Alright, now that you know what angle you have to find, let me delete this and show you how do I find this angle. So remember, the principle I have been talking about so far is that if you have two parallel lines, so if I draw two parallel lines, so imagine this now. If I draw this parallel line here and I draw a parallel line here, alright, remember what I had shown you earlier, how this angle 25 equals 25 or how 10 equals 10. Similarly, then this angle here becomes equal to this angle. Alright, not only becomes equal to this angle, sorry, it becomes equal to the whole angle. Again, same principle, this angle. Alright, the whole angle. Alright, so what is the angle here? So remember, I have drawn a perpendicular. This is where you have to pay close attention. Alright, so remember, I have drawn a perpendicular here to distinguish 45 and 60. Now if this is a perpendicular and this is a 90-degree angle, I already know that the internal angle in the triangle is 45. So the remaining angle is 90 minus 45, which is 45 degrees. Right, so it's a perpendicular, it's a 90-degree angle. I know the inner angle is 45. So the remaining, the blue portion, the blue angle is 45 degrees because it's 90 minus 45. So if this is 45 degrees, this whole angle will be 45 degrees as well. But what I need to do is also find out this angle here, this small angle, because imagine that I have to find out the bearing. The bearing is nothing but this angle here, right? How can I find out this angle? Now if I call this angle, if I find out this angle Q, and I know this is a 90-degree angle, I can just simply add 90 degrees to Q and find the answer. Am I right? So you know the total angle is 45. If I find out Q and I add 90 degrees to it, I can get the whole angle. Alright, so what I will do is now use the principles of sine to find the value. Now how can I do that? Now I will use the sine rule. To use the sine rule, I have to use the principle of sine and first find out this angle here, this small green angle. If I find out this small green angle, I can subtract it from 45 to find out angle Q. Alright, so to do that, I will use the simple sine rule. Now what is simple sine rule? Now let's call this angle, this green angle here, L. So if I say that sine of L divided by OY, so the side opposite to it, OY equals sine of 105 degrees, that is the total angle here, divided by bi. Sine of 105 degrees divided by the side opposite to it, by. It also equals sine of angle y divided by bo, but it's not important for us. We can take this equation here because we know 3 out of the 4 values. We just need to find out sine of L because we know the rest of it. So how can I find out sine L? I will just cross multiply here. So this is a sine rule. Sine of any angle divided by the side opposite to it equals to the sine of the other angle and the side opposite to it. So sine of L equals OY multiplied by sine 105 degrees divided by by. Now you know the value of OY, by already. So let's take this down. We have more space. So let's write down here sine of L equals OY by by multiplied by sine of 105 degrees. So this is nothing but 643.35 divided by 1968.57 multiplied by sine of 105 degrees. This is sine L. Okay, so this what you will get is 643.35 divided by 1968.57, which you will get is 0.32681 multiplied by sine of 105 degrees, which is nothing but 0.96593. This is still sine of L. Now multiplied by 0.32681. So what you will get is sine L equals 0.31567. So do shift inverse. L equals sine angle 0.31567. Shift sine, sir, you get 18.4 degrees. All right, so you get 18.4 degrees or 18 degrees 24 minutes, whichever you want to use. 18.4 degrees. Okay, let me use 18.4 degrees here, or you can write 18 degrees 24 minutes, whichever you find is easy. So remember what you have found out, angle L is 18 degrees 24 minutes or 18.4 degrees. Okay, that's not what we are interested to find. We are interested to find angle Q, because if we find angle Q and add it to 90 degrees, we will get the bearing or the direction of travel of the boat from the yacht. So the total angle is 45 degrees, and if I subtract, so L plus Q is equal to 45 degrees. So Q will be equal to 45 degrees minus L, or Q equals 45 degrees minus 18.4 degrees, or Q equals 26.6 degrees. Now this is Q, 26.6 degrees we have found out. Q is nothing but 26.6 degrees. So the direction of travel is the total angle, this angle here, total angle 90 plus 26.6. All right, so direction of travel will be 96 degrees plus 26.6 degrees, which is nothing but 90 degrees plus 26.6 degrees, which is nothing but 116.6 degrees. So basically you have to sail about 117 degrees true. That is your direction of travel. Alright, so if you go back to this here diagram, you can see that the lifeboat will have to take a southeasterly kind of a course to go up to the yacht if the yacht is in distress, and that angle is 117 degrees true, 116.6 or 117 degrees true. So I know it's a bit of a complicated question, guys, but just try to understand it. Pause the videos at several places and see how we are working out the angles. Try to take it step by step, one step at a time. Try to understand it. Otherwise, put your queries or comments in the comment section below, and I will try my best to answer it online. Thank you for watching today's videos, and good luck with your study.